Okay, so we've covered now much of the business about how you actually create a site. We've created systems whereby users can add content, where they can discuss the content, whereby users can register at the site, whereby they can have an RSS feed which can help them stay up to date with things, how they can tag content, how they can rate content. And so we've covered, various different features of a typical Web 2.0 site. Now we're going to think about how we visualize. We can imagine, therefore, that our site becomes really full of rich user content. Now we need to find a way to allow the users to be able to find all the content that other users may have put up there, and find all this extra added value. So what I'm going to teach you now is probably one of the most famous visualizations of all, which is the so-called tag cloud. Namely that you put the list of tags relating to a particular site on a page with the size of the tag being in some way a representation of how important that tag is, and also that the size of the tag also it's in itself being a link, so that when you click on that tag, on that kind of like tag in the tag cloud, it should take you to all the content which that tag applies to. Okay, so that's what we're going to do then. So I've created this page, showtags.aspx.vb, showtags.aspx, and in it I'm going to try to produce a tag cloud. Okay, now the first place is just the only thing I'm going to do in terms of the show tags is I'm going to just create a placeholder, which will be the place where we will obviously will add the content. So I'm just going to drag a placeholder into the main div. Okay, and I'm going to give it the name of something like ph tag container. Okay, so there we go. So placeholder tag container, and now I'm going to go into the code behind for showtags.aspx, and now what we're going to do now is, first of all, we're just going to go look inside our database and see and find a way to actually show all of those tags together. Now, when I kind of write SQL, typically, so here, for example, this is essentially what I'm trying to find out. This is my query, paper, weeks, and tags. Let me just drag the access into so you can see it. Here is papers, weeks, and tags. It's got the author, the title, the abstract, the intro, and it's got tags. Now, of course, we know that this is a query, and so that tag is really a lookup field to the tag field of the other table, which is kind of tags. It's not actually what is in there is not actually that word, but however, what we as you see it here, then you can see there's 1 ubiquity, 2 ubiquity, 3 ubiquity, 4 ubiquity, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I think there are 10 overall. Yes, there's another ubiquity right at the very end. And you can see that the other tags occur much less. So we're going to find a way of writing an SQL query to list all the specific tags in this query, and also will say how many times they come up. Now, I find a very good way to experiment to get your SQL right is just to write a kind of a simple query of one's own. See this one here, test query, which is actually the wrong one. Yes, so no, it's to write my own query, and I've written one here called count tag, where you just experiment with the SQL until you get it right. Now here, I've run this, they created this query, and it looks perfectly okay here. All is 6, ubiquity is 10, test tag 3, study 2, multimodality 2, greetings 1, I 2. Okay, now I could just connect directly to this query to get these results. Or, what we could do is just look at the SQL behind it. So if I go into design view, this is, as I say, I wrote this query, but I wrote it inside the SQL in the design view. So so there you see, look, select papers, weeks, and tags, dot tag, count, star, so it means that is find, get all the tags and count them, and the count will thereafter be known as tag count from papers, weeks, and tags query, and group them by paper, weeks, and tags dot tag. What that means is that you kind of for each tag you find how often you count all the tags, but then subsequently you group them, and so doing, what you will then eventually get is, if we now go back into the viewable side, is this, such that we'll get the thing called tag count will be actually a list of numbers pertaining to how many often the tag occurs, and in the tag field you get all these various tags here. So that's what we want, and so essentially what we can do is just simply copy and paste that SQL, and we put it into our ASP page. So go back into design view, right click on the empty square and go into SQL view. This, as I say, it's very good if you've got some complex SQL to write. If you go into just create a query in Access and just keep working on the SQL until you get the answer you think is right. That's I find a kind of an easy way to actually write complex SQL. As this is quite a complex query. Essentially, we're trying to find out how many times a particular tag comes up in the whole database. So having got that, let's go now back into Visual Studio. Okay, let's kind of like create the now so I've come out. But so basically, what should be there is the page load. So let me just put in the page load command. Okay, which is the core one for this page. I mean that should be there already. So just preparing for this last night, I accidentally removed it. Okay, so now let's just now copy and paste in that that query. So excuse. Let me just hide the Solution Explorer a second, and now you should be able to see that now. So select papers, weeks, and tags dot tag, comma count star. So get the count of it as tag count from paper, weeks, and tags. Group by papers, weeks, and tags dot tag. Okay, and that will give us the list of all the tags in the database and how often they occur. Okay, so that's done that. Now then, let's go through the normal business of creating our OLEDB object. So OLEDBcon, well, I won't bother explaining that because we've done it so many times before. OLEDBcon open, that's created my database connection object. Okay, now I'm going to create my command object, which, as you know, is just simply a new OLEDB command object with the first parameter being the SQL, which is this, and the subsequent being the database connection object. Okay, so now then, what I'm just going to do for now, all I want to do is print out the list of tags and how often they occur. So I don't want to do anything beyond that. Well, I don't want to actually change the size of them or anything to actually represent them for now, because what we want to just show is the principle of showing these tags in the page. So tag count reader is my data reader, which is immediately called by running the command over the database, and then the first thing we do is just check if the tag count reader has rows, which would just tell us if more than one record has been returned. If that is the case, then we do a while loop, a while tag count reader dot read, meaning as long as there are still records in the database, what we're going to do, all we're going to do for now is going to print them out. So we're going to say response dot write open bracket, say tag count reader open bracket quote tag, and then ampersand space ampersand tag count reader open bracket quote tag count is the alias we created, which contains the number of tags. Okay, so that should so that should do everything, I think. I put a close bracket there. Response write tag array tag, and then I put another close bracket here. Okay, so I'm thinking that should do me for now. Let's just check that does actually work. So as I say, what we're going to be doing now is just querying the database, trying to find out all the tags and how often they occur. So let's see how often they occur. And we're not going to change the size of the font at all at this stage. All we're going to do is find out how many times they occur. So then we're going to do some more processing subsequently to actually render that in terms of font size. Okay, so that has worked. We've got there the tag all occurs 6 times, the tag I occurs 2 times, greetings 1, multimodality 2, study 2, tag 3, and ubiquity 10. Now, as you see, we're probably not going to get a very interesting distribution when we finally do get to do our tag cloud, because there are 2 big ones, ubiquity 10 and all 6, but all the other ones are just 3, 2, 2, 2, 1, and so that's not very interesting really. But however, we've got our first. We've done up to the first part of this of our task. We managed to get the list of the tags. The second part now is to actually visually represent these tags according to how often they occur in the database. So how are we going to do that? Well, essentially, we know that the highest is 10. We know the lowest is 1, and we want somehow to represent that the size, the relative size of something is represented by the size of the text. So the number of tags, sorry, I didn't put that very well, the number of times a tag occurs in the table should be represented by a higher size of text. Now, we could kind of use kind of fixed font sizes for the size of text, but it's probably better off if we actually, rather than have a continuous scale, is to have maybe just a set of 6 or so potential scales, and which are actually relatively defined rather than absolutely defined. And because within font styling in CSS, there are these terms XX small, small, medium, large, X large, and XX large, what we should really be trying to do is to making the sizing one of the tags relatively to how big it is compared to all the other tags in the table. So first of all, what we're going to do is we are going to establish an array. Okay, we're going to establish an array of these various font sizes. Okay, so what I'm going to do is probably after let's just do it after the loop. So let's kind of do it here after the loop. We'll create this dim font options as string equals, and then we'll go through all the we'll create an array of all the various functions. Now, if you want to create a declarative array in Visual Basic, when you declaratively declare an array, namely, so you at the moment you actually establish a variable, you create an array, and associated with that, the actual syntax is quite interesting, quite unusual for VB. It is a squiggly bracket followed by all the various strings separated by a comma. Okay, so let's try and do that. I can't even be able to paste for some reason. I don't know why. Yes, there it is. Successful finally. Okay, so these are that's what. So this is what. Let me just explain this line as I have typed it. Okay, so dim font options open bracket close bracket means create an array of strings called font options. So dim font options open bracket close bracket meaning font options now is an array. It's not just one string. It is many strings. So dim font options as string equals squiggly bracket. Okay, so then here are the various sizes, and these are given terms that are key fixed terms within CSS. So these are not things I've invented. These are actual terms in CSS terms to classify font size. So there is XX small, X small, small, medium, large, X large, and XX large. Okay, that's where it all finishes. Okay, and these kind of quotes that there. So basically, we're creating this array of strings by putting them within quotes, separating them with commas, and separating the whole and kind of enclosing the whole thing with a squiggly bracket. Okay, so that's creating an array of 7 strings, all of which are font options. So font option 0 is XX small, font options 1 is X small, etc., etc., etc. Okay, so we've done that. Now then, what I'm going to do is I'm going to introduce you now to another data structure which you've never come across before, which is called a hash table. Okay, I'm going to do that before we go into the loop, in fact. because we're going to have to go through this loop twice. We're going to go through this loop twice because we need to go through this loop to find out which is the highest and which is the lowest. We won't know beforehand which tag occurs the most times and which tag occurs the least number of times. We'll find that out by going through the loop, and we'll be maintaining a list of what we believe to be the highest and what we believe to be the lowest. Okay, so we go through the loop once, we do that. Then the second time we go through the loop, we compare the individual number of times a tag has occurred to the maximum size, and so therefore we can begin to know how important any particular tag is in relation to any other tag. But we won't go through the database record twice, data reader twice. What we'll do is we will store these tag names and tag count values into a data structure which is called a hash table. Okay, and I'm going to create it here. I'm going to say, so before we go through the first loop, I'm going to say dim tag hash as hash table. Now basically what a hash table is a thing called a key value pair. So it's a list of key value pairs. So for example, anything which has, sort of like, one thing means something else, you can create as a hash table. So I could create, for example, a hash table of Italian, sort of the Italian language. So I could say, car, key means macchina, value, or I could say fork, key means forchetta, value, or I can't think of an example. Lampadina, lamp, key means lampadina, value. A hash table then is an array of key value pairs. Okay, but the crucial is you cannot have the same key twice. So you can't. So essentially they've got to be distinct. But it's a very efficient way of keeping data which has a key value pair, which is an array of key value pairs, and it's very easy to set up. So while we go through this loop here, what we can do is we can now kind of add things to our tag hash. So I'm going to say tag hash dot add open bracket. Okay, and now I'm going to kind of I'm going to get the tag name, which I get by reading my database. Sorry, I did that wrong. I'm going to get the tag name by getting this tag count reader tag, and the value is going to be a number, which is the tag count reader tag count. Okay, now since I'm fairly, I'm going to actually automatically cast this into an integer. So I can close this around with cint and put around it, and this will turn what is likely to come back as a string or something indeterminate when it comes back from the database. It's going to become as a kind of indeterminate value type. So I'm going to kind of force it into being an integer by putting cint around it. I've just realised there was a problem there because that squiggly line, because I didn't. It should be as new hash table, not as just as hash table. So there. So essentially, what I'm doing then is going through this loop, and it's basically filling up this hash table with these tag number of times, tag number of times, tag number of times. So in our case, all 6, ubiquity 10, I 2, etc., etc. So that's what we're just filling up that particular hash table as we go through it. But now, as I said, while we're going through this, we also need to find out what is the smallest number of times a tag occurs in this database and the highest number of times a tag occurs. So let's create some more variables, which is going to be dim max tag. I'm going to call that ct, which means count, as integer equals 0. Dim min tag ct as integer equals 0. Okay, so this is these are the two. We're going to basically, as we go through here, we're going to find out if a tag is higher. If it's higher than anything that's gone before, it's going to become the max. If it's lower than anything that's come before, it's become the min. So let's now kind of add. First of all, but on the first time, of course, it's going to be 0, and so we don't want some are saying, if it is 0, make it 0 being the lowest, because it's not going to be 0. So let's type in if min tag count ct equals 0, then min tag ct equals cint tag count reader open bracket quote tag count close quote bracket. So what I'm saying there is that if minimum tag count equals 0, which we definitely know is on the very first occasion, then the minimum becomes whatever is the first value for that one. That becomes the minimum. Okay, so that becomes a minimum because but then what we can do after that is we say that if min tag ct is less than is greater than this value that's just come back from the database. If it is greater than this value, which has just come back from the database, then that value becomes the minimum. So we then min tag ct equals cint tag count reader tag count. So we're saying that if we suddenly find a value which is less than what we believe to be the minimum, then that value which has just arrived becomes the minimum. And so then finally we say, so it's the other way around. If max tag ct is less than the value that the next number that comes down to us as we go through the list of records in the database, if max count is less than those, then this thing that has just arrived becomes, or max tag ct equals this new highest scoring tag. Okay, so so basically going through all these things will help us to sorry about that. Or going through all these things will help us find out which is the the largest and the minimum tag. Okay, so I think I'll just need to stop at this moment for a while. Right then, so then we know which tag occurs the most number of times, and we know which tag occurs the least number of times. So what we need to do now is to we know we've got 7 kind of potential font sizes, depending where any tag number is among the actual range of tags. So we've got to now associate a position or a number of tags with a size of font. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to divide, if you like, the distance between the highest number tagged and the lowest number tagged, divide that by the number of potential font sizes we have. So what we can do is we'll create a kind of, if you like, a unit of scale to represent where, within which range any particular tag should be. So therefore we've got dim scale unit as decimal equals the maximum tag size and the button's maximum tag number minus the minimum tag number plus 1. Okay, so make sure it never gets to 0. Okay, and divide that by the number of potential font size we can use, which is in our case is going to be 7. Okay, because we said that font options dot lengths is basically that. Where do we create those fonts? Oh God, I think I've lost it somewhere. But I mean, it's that list of fonts and their numbers. So I seem to have lost it somehow. I must have deleted it by accident. Let's copy that line in again. Okay, so I don't know where that went. But oh no, it's font option because it's underneath rather than above. So let me just so let's kind of put this scale unit underneath font options because it hasn't actually been declared by the time I begin to use the number of fonts. So there it is, the highest number tag, the lowest number tag plus 1, dividing that by the number of font options, which says convert to decimal, meaning that we're going to get a proper kind of fractional decimal value as being the resulting outcome of that. So therefore, it's just, we know that basically that 10 is the highest, 1 is the lowest. We know that therefore it's going to stretch between 10 and 1, which is 9, and then we're going to add 1 onto it, making 10, and we're going to divide that by 7. So we're saying that, you know, for from 0 to 1.3, font size, from 0 to 1.3, a tag count, go to the lowest font size. From 1.3 to 2.6, go to the second lowest. From 2.6 to 3.9, go to the third lowest. From 3.9 to 5.2, go to the fourth lowest, etc., etc. That's how it's going to work, or something more or less like that. My mathematics might not be brilliant. So let's now create now an empty variable for the HTML, which we're going to generate as a consequence of this calculation. So we're going to create some HTML which we're eventually going to be putting inside the placeholder. So we're going to type that now. So dim tag cloud HTML as string as nothing, okay, and then we're going to now we're going to go through. We're going to loop again through the list of tags. Now we're going to use that tag hash. This is the reason why we created that tag hash. Now we're going to loop through the tag hash, and we're going to use this construction you might not have seen before. For each. For each is a very handy way of iterating through any collection, list, or hash table in .NET. It's also used in Java, also has a version of for each, and so does many other languages. For each is when you have a list or a collection of things, and you're just going to go through every single one of them. So you don't have to use any kind of numerical counting or anything like that. Okay, so we're going to go through every tag in its list. We know that for each tag it's going to have a key, and there's going to be a key and a value. The key is the word in the tag. The value is the number of times it occurs in the database. So what we're going to do now is we're going to create this thing called scale value, which is going to be a number between 0 and 7, representing which one of the font sizes it's going to take. So we're going to say dim scale value as integer, okay, use math truncate, tump tag, which is a temporary tag. So we're going through each of these key value pairs in this tag hash. So we're making the tag value. So whatever is the value here of this particular tag, whatever it's a number of times it comes up, minus the minimum number of times any tag comes up, divided by this scale unit. So we will know by doing that division, it'll give us a number between 0 and 7, and it will be an integer because we've used this math truncate construction, which will then turn this will be a decimal return value into a number between 0 and 7, and we can use this scale value as being the font that we will use for that particular piece of text. So now then, we're going to write the HTML. So we're going to say tag cloud HTML equals tag cloud HTML ampersand. Now I'm going to use another thing you haven't seen before, string.format. This is a function whereby you can type in a string but put variables in the middle of it, which you then subsequently fill out afterwards in a comma separated list. So what we're going to just say now is something like it's going to eventually be a hyperlink. I'll put in now a hyperlink tag, but we won't actually insert any kind of ahref equals so nothing really. I'm just going to put nothing at all there. Ahref equals something. Style equals. Now here we're going to we're going to say font face, so font size colon, and then here we're going to put squiggly bracket 0, meaning the first parameter we're going to push into this string. Okay, so that's, and then that is going to be the end of the A. Okay, and then after that we're going to put in the tag word, which is going to be ampersand tump. Oh no. So sorry. No. It's sorry. No. Squiggly bracket 1, which is going to be the key, and that's what we'll just leave it at that for now. So slash A unquote. Okay, and that should effectively then create. Well, if now we put in the parameters. Sorry, now put in the parameters. So for the 0, 1, that is going to be the size we want to give it. So the size we want to give it. So I need to put in just 2 more quotes there. The size we want to give it, and the semicolon. Sorry. The size we want to give it is precisely scale value. So the first one is going to be font options, open bracket, scale value, okay, and the second, sorry, I need to put in a comma there, and the second option, the second thing we need to fill in is the value for this particular tag, which is tump tag.key. Okay, so we've got that there, tag cloud, and I think that's more or less right. So I didn't do that particularly well. Let me just explain it again. So this is the piece of text we're gradually filling up. Tag cloud HTML, tag cloud HTML, and string format, and then open bracket. So here we've got a piece of text which has got variables inside it, saying ahref equals nothing really at all. Okay. So actually, and whenever you've got quotes inside quotes in Visual Basic, the way you do that is you put double quotes for each one. So we're going to say here href 4 quotes, meaning 2 quotes when it eventually appears in HTML. Style equals, and here I need to put some double quotes around font size colon, and then 0, meaning this font option scale value. And then semicolon, double quote again, and then in the actual thing that you visibly see is the word tump tag key. Now I realise I kind of like made a bit of a dog's dinner of that as I tried to explain it. Maybe when we actually see it on the page, you'll get a better idea of how that was constructed. So then let's just now add it to the page. We could just do a response right, but I'm going to do it properly here. I'm going to add it to the page. PH tag container, which remember is our placeholder, the placeholder we created. PH tag container dot controls dot add, open bracket new literal control, open bracket tag allowed HTML. So all that HTML that we've concatenated together essentially is going to go into a literal control, which is going to be inside the PH tag container. Okay, so let's see if that works, and let's see if it produces anything sensible. So let's run it again. Probably it's been a while since I've last actually used it, so it's going to probably prompt me to log in again. Yes, it does. So here we go. But now that has actually worked. Unfortunately, I haven't got rid of the earlier line there, you know. But all is worth 6. All the others are worth very small amounts. And so what you see there is therefore virtually everything has got the smallest font size. Ubiquity has got a large font size, and all has got a fairly large. If we view the page source, the HTML of that page, what it eventually comes out as, what you will see is test tag font size X small. So it's not XX small. And then you've seen here for Ubiquity, font size XX large. Style equals font size XX large. and then for the next one, greetings. Greetings is XX small, which is the extremely smallest one of all. And finally, you should see things like there's multimodalities only occurs twice, it gets XX small, whereas all gets font size medium. Okay, and the reason why those words are appearing there are, let's just go back again into Visual Studio. Tag cloud HTML equals tag cloud HTML. Remember, this is for each tag. I'm saying string format. href equals nothing. Normally that would be the hyperlink. Style equals, now here we're saying font size, and then the font size is represented by the squiggly bracket 0, meaning the first in the list of parameters following the quotation. The first list of parameters following the quotation is this font options, the array font options, using scale value to determine which one of those array. I mean, remember that array could be either XX small, X small. So 0 is XX small, 1 is X small, 2 is small, 3 is medium, 4 is large, 5 is X large, 6 is XX large. Okay, so whatever scale value is, and scale value we know will be a score between 0 and 6. Okay, scale value is just the value we've got by dividing the distance between the highest and lowest and subtracting it by the scale unit. We're going to remember 6 times 1.3 makes 10, and that's how we eventually, that's how we're kind of managing to represent each size by one of those 6 font sizes, XX small to XX large. Okay, 7 font sizes from 0 to 6. Okay, and then finally, tump tag key is the thing which follows that. Okay, which is number 1, if you like. So number 0 is this, and number 1 is that. Okay, so now then, that's got. So now we were showing the stuff here, but haven't got a sensible hyperlink at the moment. So it's going such that if we go to the page again, you'll see that if I link here, you'll see down at the very bottom it says show tags.aspx, but that's not what we want. We need to send it to the main page, mobile standards.aspx, and we need to also pass it a tag as a parameter. Okay, so now let's go about doing that. First of all, we'll need to establish the stem, because we're going to be passing a stem, which is going to be mobile standards.aspx. So we'll create a variable just before the second loop, and in this variable just before the second loop, oh dear, I need to stop the thing from executing temporarily. So just before the beginning of the second loop, I'm going to create a thing called homepage stem. Is mobile standards.aspx, but then we want something like, after that, saying something like tag equals and the name of a string, the actual tag that we're referring to. So here, where it says href here, we're going to href equals so there's something here. Well, we're just going to put in here. We're just going to put in a 0. We're going to change it now. So href is going to be represented by the squiggly bracket 0. Font size squiggly bracket 1. Sorry, so put squiggly bracket 1, and the actual tag will be squiggly bracket 2. Okay. So then the first option going after the list is going to be this plus another the actual tag equals something. So we're going to be saying homepage stem. So it's going to be here. It's going to be so. I'm just going to put a comma there, separate it from the subsequent one. So it's going to be homepage stem ampersand, remember, and then we're going to say something like tag, or we can make capital or lowercase, doesn't make a difference. Tag equals ampersand. Now we know we want the actual tag, the actual word that appears, and we can get that by tmp tag tump tag dot key. Okay, and that will give us. So now what should appear then in there is mobile standard.aspx. Link to the key. Now, in order for that thing to work, we'll just have to make a little adjustment to mobile standards.aspx.vb, because currently we only show sort pages based on tags in the event of a post back. In the event that the user uses a drop-down list and presses a button, causing a post back to occur, which then causes the things to be ordered by tag. Sorry, to be sorted, but also kind of like selected by tag. So we'll need to actually add an extra parameter here. So we're going to say something like request params open bracket quote tag. Okay, so we're passing an extra param into the first. If not, it's post back. So in the case it's not a post back, which is exactly what it won't be when we're first coming to the page from outside, then we're going to put that tag into that page, into the query string. So let's now see if that works. Let's click on Show Tags with ASPX again. Okay, and I'm going to press play. So there it is. So we've got our tags then. So let's see. This looks more or less okay. Mobile standard ASPX question mark tag equals ubiquity. So if I click on that, it'll go to the page and it's showing all the pages only showing ubiquity. Now let's go back again and let's click on multimodality. Again, now this worked. Okay, I mean, unfortunately, this kind of drop-down list hasn't updated to represent the fact that it's only showing tags with multimodality, but it is nonetheless working. So let's kind of like click on greetings, which will be very, very few indeed. So the only thing we need to do really is just to update maybe the mobile standard ASPX VB to make the drop-down list to represent the same as the tag. I can't remember. I haven't prepared this part of the talk. So tag choosing. No, I'll have to save that for a subsequent video, I think, because I'm not feeling confident enough to try right now. But anyway, as you see, we've got this is working now. We've got a tag cloud. It's appearing. It's working absolutely fine. It's in. What we could potentially do is put that into the banner of the mobile standard site, or we could put it somewhere else. I won't be trying to kind of show what that's, because really is a design decision, and that's mainly kind of what for you need to discuss yourselves at the moment. But anyway, so as we see, we've shown how it is possible to create a tag cloud by a simple SQL statement and by a little tiny bit of mathematics, which can allow us to kind of associate a particular occurrence of a tag with a particular font size. Okay, but that's not the only thing we can do with that data. So what I'm going to do now is look at other ways of using that data for visualization purposes.